Hello good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today I am bringing you another top 5 premium ships to avoid buying video. So last video, most of you guys agreed with the ships that I put up. A couple of you, well more than a couple, disagreed about the Indianapolis, which I can totally see where you're coming from. I wasn't saying that it was a crap ship, I'm just saying it's so meh, now there's no real reason to buy it anymore. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and just get going with this week's list. Anyway, so before I get into it, just remember this is all my opinion. This is all from my personal experience, and well, a couple of these are from your guys' suggestion from the last video, but let's just go ahead and get right into it. So coming in at number 5, we have the Tier 8 Premium Italian Battleship Roma. Now, the Roma, everything about it, in my opinion, is great until you get to the guns. So the guns are 15-inch guns, which isn't bad for Tier 8. She gets 9 of them, so just knowing that, it sounds pretty good, right? Well, they have by far some of the worst dispersion and the most dependent on RNGs that I've ever seen. This dispersion is worse than the German dispersion. Now, Roma in a knife fight is an absolute beast, but the problem is, being a Tier 8 battleship, you don't get in an awful lot of knife fights at Tier 8. Now, the Tirpitz is also a knife fighter, but the Tirpitz is actually better at dealing damage at mid-range than the Roma is. The Roma, and I mean, every now and then, you'll get those amazing games in her. But for the most part, she cannot consistently do damage at mid to long ranges. From close in, she can. From about, I would say, 10 kilometers in, she's actually quite good. The issue is, Tier 8 battles, you don't get 10 kilometers inward until later in the game, and that's Tier 8. When you get up to Tier 10, well, you're kind of just out of luck at that point. Because Tier 10 games, you do not get to within 10 kilometers until the last maybe 5 minutes, 6-7 minutes of the game, depending on how it goes. It was a typical Tier 10 game today that really doesn't even happen until those last couple of minutes of the match. So she struggles greatly in that area, and this is of course your main battery guns, the guns that you get most of your damage with in battleships. On top of that, the pins are so good, in fact, that it actually hurts the ship, in my opinion. You will overpin just about everything that isn't a broadside battleship, and since the guns are 15 inches, you're going to bounce anything that's angled inward. So yeah, this is a Tier 8 ship that it really struggles to do damage. Now, if a cruiser's turning and you catch him angled, yeah, it'll do great, but you're gonna get mostly overpins. I'm being, like, just honestly, you will just overpin the crap out of most things. And the crappy dispersion with the overpin makes it that much frustrating when you land a good salvo on a cruiser who's broadside and you'll hit him right in his citadel, but since the velocity's so high on these guns, you're gonna overpin him. It's a painful experience, and I don't think it's really worth it, especially in the current meta. The engagement ranges are just so far back nowadays that it's really not worth getting. Alright, moving on to number 4, we have the Tier 7 Premium British Battleship Duke of York. So the Duke of York, for all intents and purposes, is literally a slightly worse King George V. It's a King George V that the only positive side is that the pin angles on the AP is a bit better. Other than that, it's a worse King George. Oh, it has Hydro if you, for whatever reason, want to rush smoke in a British battleship, which with British HE is not a terrible thing. But you won't be doing that in this ship. Especially after the Citadel got raised on all the other British battleships. This one, they didn't get raised because it's the Tier 7. I don't believe they raised it. I checked, and it's still right at the waterline, so they haven't raised Duke of York Citadel yet. And they didn't raise King George V, so I guess you could get in close in with it, unlike the other British battleships, but the guns reload in a slower time than the King George. It has a slightly worse heal than the King George, unless they've changed that since the last time I played it. Well, since the last time I really looked at it. which I mean wasn't that long ago, and the hill was worse than the King George's hill. It used to have okay AA, but with the CV rework, AA is just God knows what anymore. So the King George, you know, it has smaller guns for its tier. These are 14-inch guns, by the way. She has 10 of them. She's got the quadruple turret in the front, quadruple turret in the back, and the dual turret in the front. And with the King George, you know, you could make up for the lack of caliber with the reloading time, but with the Duke of York, you have a slower reload. So there's that. Hill's not as great, and it has hydro. That's literally the only thing that this has that the King George doesn't, besides the AP pin angles, which it's British BB AP. So you're not going to get fantastic pins out of it anyway. You know, dealing with cruisers, you know, this ship is good, but I would argue that the rate of fire is definitely worth the slightly worse pin angles that the King George V has. So there's that. And Duke of York isn't a terrible ship. It's just that there's no real reason to buy this when the tech line ship is better. Just spend the money buying the premium camo for the King George V, and voila. There you go. That would be my recommendation. Don't spend money on the Duke of York. Alright, coming in at number 3, we have the Tier 6 Premium German battleship, the Prince Eitel Friedrich. So the Prince Eitel Friedrich was a reward ship back in the day, and I actually liked this ship when it came out originally. You also used it to get more steel during the steel campaign back. I think it was last Christmas. And this is a fast German battleship that's maneuverable. Armor isn't all that great. Had great AA when it came out. Has some pretty decent secondaries, and the guns were actually quite accurate. Well, they went and they changed the dispersion on the guns. And well, the thing was too, when it was released, it wasn't that well received. I liked it. It seemed to be everyone else on the internet didn't like it, because the guns were quite accurate. It was a fast maneuverable German battleship, so I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's a premium that's different. It's not just a copy-paste ship. That is true. This is a truly unique ship. They didn't just take the Bayern and, you know, repaint it. It's a truly different ship. But anyway, it wasn't that well received when it was released. The guns, they're actually 13-inch guns. I mean, they're almost 14-inch guns, but they're like 13.7 or 13.8 inches or something like that, which is pretty dang small for Tier 6. But the trade-off was they were quite accurate, and the ship was maneuverable. And then they changed the dispersion on it, they nerfed it a bit, and now it's nowhere near as accurate as it used to be. Oh, wargaming. Why? So, it's still a maneuverable ship, and the CV rework came out, and its AA seems to be on the better side, but not as good as it used to be. And the secondaries, they are decent, but they're not really worth building into. So all of that just builds this kind of meh ship that, I mean, and some people probably think it's way worse than just meh. I think it's meh. I know there's a lot of people in here that just hate it, and I mean, okay, fair enough if you don't like it for the other reasons that have been listed, but I mean, for one, I don't think this is that terrible of a ship. I certainly don't think it's worth buying anymore since they changed the dispersion on it. I did get it for free with the... I bought this. You could earn this ship for free. But I purchased it for the Steel Monsters campaign, and of course, grinded my little heart out for that steel. But a tragic ship that was not that well received when it was released, and now with the changes, it's definitely not worth getting anymore. Alright, so moving on to number 2, we have the Tier 5 Premium Soviet Cruiser, the Krasny Cream, or the Krasny Cream, as I believe it's... Well, maybe not with that accent, but the Krasny Cream, or however the heck you say this thing's name. So this ship, it's bad, but it's also fun. It's derpy fun, but my god, this ship cannot take a hit worth a crap. She's got a ton of guns, though, that reload in about 7 seconds, and there sure is some derpy fun to be had there, but Not really worth it. The torpedoes are very slow. They don't have that much range. It does have a hydro, but range, again, it's only 4 kilometers. Ship's made out of tissue paper. The guns, like I said, they're okay because you have so freaking many of them. Ship is fairly maneuverable, not all that great, but fairly maneuverable for a tier 5. This ship's main issue with me at least is that the citadel's freaking massive. It's a floating citadel. It's basically the Soviet Pensacola, and it earns that nickname rightly. You can easily delete this thing with anything with slightly large guns. You can delete it by other cruisers very, very easily. If a destroyer looks at you weird, you're gonna get deleted. Well, okay, maybe not a destroyer, but they sure can nuke you if they have your broadside and have AP loaded. And again, it's derpy fun with all the guns, but still, it's tier 5. You still probably have to pay, I think, like $15 for it. It's, again, not really worth it. I got it in the Santa containers when I was getting the, I was trying to get the Missouri, so that's why I have it. And, I mean, like I said, it is derpy fun, but at the end of the day, it really can't, its survivability is just so crappy. I mean, no, just avoid it. Don't get it. It's, I mean, if you get it in a reward container, yay. If it's on sale for, like, I don't know, $10 or half price, maybe then, just for the derpiness, but other than that, no, don't get it. Avoid this ship. There's a reason you never see it in game. Alright, and moving on now to number 1. The tier 5 premium Italian cruiser Genova. So the Genova, a lot of people in my first video were like, dude, where's the Genova at? And, well, I didn't get it yet. I got it. I think the day that video was released was the day that I got the Genova. This ship is a hot mess. And oh my god, why did this ship get released? How did this ship get released? A tier 5 cruiser with a 20-second reload. A 20-second reload on its guns. Why would you give a tier 5 cruiser a battleship, approaching a battleship's level of reload? Why? It's so ridiculous. Why? On top of that, the Genova doesn't get the Italian exhaust smoke screen. The smoke screen that can keep you concealed no matter what speed you're sailing around at. That's a great consumable to have. And honestly, if they would just give it to it, this would make this ship so much better. Because this ship also has no armor like the rest of the Italian cruisers. It is ridiculously easy to delete this thing. And you can't hide. You can try to run, but you're going to get deleted trying to do that anyway. You eat pins from whatever angles. Your reload time's 20 seconds. The sap angles are, the sap pin angles are ridiculous. I actually found out why the mid-tier cruisers were so crappy. It's because of the sap pin angles, apparently, which now that I'm noticing it, yeah, that makes sense. And apparently they're planning on changing it, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But anyway, it's just so crappy. It is a reward ship, but it is not worth your time grinding it out. Just don't. Don't waste your time on this ship. Don't waste your money on this ship. If you're a collector, I guess, because I mean, you guys are going to buy the ship no matter what I say. But I don't think this ship is worth collecting even. It looks okay, but it's not pretty, and I don't know if the ship has a a fantastic history behind it or anything. But I really don't think it's worth it. I really don't. It's ridiculous. And it's a premium, so they probably aren't going to change it any. And really the best thing they can do is just give it a smokescreen. Or if they don't want to give it a smokescreen, it certainly needs a hill, something to compensate its really weak armor. Because the Amalfi, with its smokescreen and its good sap angles, is a pretty darn good tier 8, I gotta say. This ship is a joke. Don't get it. Don't worry about grinding it out. Avoid it. It's crap. Don't need to stress yourself out about it. Alright guys, so that was another top 5 tier, Alright guys, that was another top 5 premium ships to avoid buying. I hope you enjoyed this video, and just remember, again, this is all my opinion, and if your opinion is different, that's fine. It's the world that we live in. Please let me know in the comments down below, what other ships would you consider that would be not worth your money? I'm sure that there's plenty more. I could probably name 1 or 2 more for sure. But this is a top 5 and not a top 7 video. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Hope you guys come out for the stream tonight here on the channel. I will be streaming from 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time until 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time if my internet doesn't die like it did last week. Again, I'm really sorry about that. I don't know. I think Orange just doesn't want me to stream for some reason. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and thank you for getting us to 5,000 subscribers. We recently passed that goal. It has been awesome that we've been able to crush that goal in such a short time. So if you did like the video, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. And thank you guys for watching again. I'll catch you all in the next one.